Well, my homophobic buddy AG might not have presented any good arguments to justify his hateful opinion, but he was spot on with one thing. I really like having the last word. And by blocking me so he never got my final reply, really bothered me, I have to admit. So I logged in with one of my other accounts and sent him the following private message.
Subject: Meta communication. Hi dude, in case you're wondering why I have been such a self-righteous dick during our conversation, neither of us had any proof for our series, so it was opinion versus opinion. While my opinion is based on the idea of being open-minded, enjoying deviation in life, as long as nobody is harmed of course, and not condemning people just because I do not like certain aspects of their life,
just wanted to put this out there once more so we are on the same page.
I do not get what's your deal. I honestly do not understand why you are so offended by homosexuality. And I'm not talking about thinking it is gross. That is a legit personal opinion. But please do not say it is against nature again, because I simply don't buy this one. There are only very few people who actually live by the ideal of nativeness and not just use it as an excuse argument to justify their opinion. And the fact that you spend so much time in the comments on YouTube pretty much proves that you are not one of them, because those people think of spending so much time behind a PC as against nature as well. Not to mention, you already disproved that you're all about nativeness yourself by admitting that nudity is an issue for you as well.
Just wanted to prevent that he uses his vague excuse of an argument once more.
So please, help me understand what your logic is based on, and maybe if I finally get why some people are really offended by homosexuality, I will consider being more sensitive about those people in future videos. Take care, ANY.
Well, as you can see, I can be very conciliatory and peaceable if I want to. I was honestly curious to find out how he ticks, because this whole nature thing was a hoax. And I hope to rekindle the discussion if I am just a little bit more smooth about it. And I actually did receive an extensive reply.
First of all, I want you to realize that people like me, those of us who oppose homosexuality and believe it to be wrong, have become the villains according to society.
First sentence and already putting himself into the role of the victim. This is promising.
It has become completely acceptable to trash on us every day, be it on the news, the radio, or the internet. Somebody has something nasty to say about us.
Well, it's not like those of you who are against homosexuality have been talking trash on homosexuals for decades, if not centuries, on every kind of media you could get your hands on.
So as you might imagine, I'm a little sick and tired of being insulted for my opinion, given that I've already had to deal with the recent gay marriage in the US debate.
Oh no, you had to deal with the gay marriage debate? Why? Did a guy propose to you? What is your issue with gay marriage? How does gay marriage affect you? There is no issue to deal with for you. So shut the fuck up.
It doesn't really take much to send me off.
And again, with the whining and the excuses. Oh, small things can set me off.
Simply put, when two sides are locked in an argument and unable to prove anything, like the two of us, the one with society on their side is considered right.
This is the point where I consider that I have been too diplomatic in the past, because he is picking up my argument that we both are in this locked situation where none of us can prove anything, even so I was able to debunk anything he said, but I kind of stated this myself, so yeah, I let this one pass. But I'm not letting you off so easy on the whole thing with society. Because if you recall correctly, I am pro-nudity, I am pro-polygamy, so I am not an avatar of the society's opinion. I'm an avatar of my own opinion. So don't blame it on society and that you are totally misunderstood, that I have been right because my arguments were better. If you would have provided better arguments, and if you would have been able to convince me that homosexuality is something bad, something we need to be against, then I would not have had a problem agreeing with you, because my opinion is built on reason. So if you provide me with solid reason for your point of view, I will at least respect your point of view. Maybe even adapt it as my own.
So no matter what I do, you've already won.
No, on this one you are wrong. I did not win. I could not win because you never gave me a chance to win. The whole discussion was completely one-sided. You threw in some bullshit, I debunked it, I brought some reason, you ignored it. I had no chance to win because there was no real competition. But you, on the other hand, you have clearly lost. Because you did not provide anything, you had nothing to hold against me, and you were the one leaving the conversation with your tail between your legs and blocked me, and you blocked my other account after this very message again. So you don't have to hear and see anything. I have not won, especially not because I represent the public opinion. No, you have lost because you never honestly tried to argue and you never thought about your own point of view. So don't bring excuses like, no matter what I do, you didn't do shit. You used a few empty phrases that were supposed to be strong. You never acknowledged my arguments. You always only focused on the small parts you could pick on that were not absolutely based on logic and called this a debunk.
It's almost funny how ironic it is, how the balance of power shifted over the decade and how humans like me used to be right.
The balance of power shifted. The balance of... What balance of power shifted? And no, you did not used to be right. You never were right. Back then, the public opinion was in the wrong. Nowadays, the public opinion improved while you stuck to your old ways. You have not been right. Being an asshole to other people, being intolerant was never right. But it was only realized as a virtue in the last few years.
Absolutely nothing has changed since then besides popular opinion.
Nothing but the public opinion, eh? Because the public opinion is nothing. No, a civilization that develops and that advances in its public content is nothing. Only the public opinion changed. Not to talk about all the medical proof that has been discovered over the years. No, it's the public opinion that changed. Is there a website for bullshit arguments I can throw out after I've already given up?
We have laws against public nudity and polygamy because society views these things as wrong, just like homosexuality was once wrong.
Yes, there are laws against nudity and polyamory, and, as I already stated, I would like to see those laws gone because they are outdated, they are relicts. You know what, AG? Just for you, even though you're probably not watching since you are busy burying your head in the sand, I'm going to make a video and explain why the concept of bigam marriage is outdated. Stay tuned for this one. And public nudity, yes, it gets seen as wrong in society, but society is prude. It is not right because it is a public conscience, because it is nonsense. Explain me why it is necessary to have laws to ensure public nudity is forbidden. I don't get it.
Is the goal here simply to keep changing popular opinion until everything wrong becomes right?
Okay, this one is absolute gold. At this point, he has clearly given up and is just generalizing and whining his bullshit. Because this statement only works in his favor when you imply that every change is automatically wrong, that every change automatically turns something right into a wrong. Well, if this is your opinion, if change in general is bad, so you must be pro-slavery, because this used to be right in public opinion, and it's not anymore, so this must be wrong. Same for women's rights. Same for the fact that once it was a public opinion that you can treat a sickness through exorcism to get the demons out of the body. Now public opinion changed that medicine is actually the better way to go. This is probably also a change from the right to the wrong, isn't it? And you know what is funny? When we go back far enough to the cradle of the civilization in Europe, to the ancient Greek, you want to know what was public opinion back then? Public nudity is fine. Homosexuality is fine. But to be fair, you want to know what was also public opinion in the antiquity? Slavery and pedophilia. So, basically what I want to say is, no, a change is not necessarily wrong or right. A change can be both. A change can be for the better or for the worse. But just because things you liked have changed does not mean they have become worse. And if you look at the thing with reason and not with old-fashioned stubbornness, you will discover that changes towards tolerance and acceptance are actually improvements. So stop calling it wrong just because it doesn't sit well with you and your homophobia.
I only have what my experience in life have taught me. I have my instincts to tell me what a human being is supposed to be.
Well, so do I, but we disagree, so what's your point?
To me, it simply does not make any sense how someone can deviate from that.
Well, this one is obvious by now, but fact is, nobody asks you to make sense. Nobody needs you to make sense. All we people want from you is stop being so offensive and ignorant.
It makes even less sense how someone can defend it as some sort of evolutionary progress. If this sort of thing were to happen in any other species, the deviant individual would die out and no longer be a problem, considering they wouldn't breed.
You know, you actually touched on a very interesting point right there. Because we both agree that homosexuality cannot be traded down, that it cannot be something you inherit. Since, yes, homosexuals do not breed by definition. So I have to ask you, in a society that used to be mainly against homosexuality, how is it possible that all over the world, millions of people choose to be homosexual, choose to be attracted to their own gender? Is this some kind of conspiracy just to piss you off? No. So I guess we both agree that it is not inherited, and hopefully we both agree that not millions of people develop on their own the idea that it would be fun to be homosexual and choose to be it. So let me provide you with an alternative explanation. There are certain factors like hormones and chromosomes and whatnot. I'm not a biologist. And those factors determine your sexual orientation and a lot of other stuff. And there are certain combinations that let you turn out gay. This would explain all those unconnected cases all over the world without relying on heritage.
What does it add to the species? What does homosexuality actually do to benefit humanity? Nothing!
Well, I'm not completely sure how humanity benefits from it. I heard multiple theories. I didn't look into those in detail, but just to throw it out there, what I heard were explanations that homosexuality is actually something that gets more present in a species when there is a certain level of overpopulation, which we do have as humans. Since we have no more natural predators, we are spreading like hell. So homosexuality is pretty much saving us from ourselves. And you want to treat it. Great! Another theory is that certain skills require certain combinations of hormones and whatnot, and that the homosexuality is just a byproduct of this person developing these particular skills, which are a benefit for humanity. Even so, he will not be able to pass them on, since, well, he turned out gay.
It's a step backwards.
You throw in all those empty phrases without any explanation that don't make any sense. How it is a step backwards? You just explained yourself that homosexuals in general do not breed. So how can it be a step backwards if each and every homosexual is automatically a dead end?
The fact of the matter is, I was raised in a Christian home.
Well, so was I. What's your point?
My belief in what is right and wrong is rooted in that.
So at this point, you are basically saying it is not actually your own opinion you keep fighting for? I mean, this kind of would explain why you had such a hard time backing your arguments up with anything.
However, I had to spend many years arguing my case against homosexuality without bringing God into it, because doing so ends the debate instantly. All someone has to say is, God isn't real, or I don't believe in God, and suddenly my opinion becomes worthless.
Well, just FYI, if you would have brought up God, I wouldn't have had a problem to turn this whole thing into a religious debate. I went through a rather elaborate religious education, so I have no problem arguing with a Christian on his own terms. And I would actually have welcomed it, because especially Christians, members of a religion of love, should not be against homosexuality if they understand what their religion is about. But I have to admit that I can see your point that you were hesitant about revealing your religious motivation since you apparently made this kind of bad experience. But if your whole point of view is built on a religious belief, but you refuse to bring up your religious belief in the discussion, but instead use some surrogate word like nature or whatever, then you are just intellectual dishonest to yourself and you are doomed to fail because you are trying to win an argument for something you deny. In retrospect, this whole discussion was for me like playing with the net down. You never had a chance because you never used your own arguments.
And I have probably done so right now. In fact, I'm sure I have just given you another reason to slander me and those like me in your next video.
Well, it looks like you have been right about this one. It took me circa a year to actually return to this conversation because on my other channel this was not really a fitting topic. But yes, I turned this whole thing into a video. But I'm not doing it to slander you for your religious beliefs. No! If you would have stuck around in the comment section of mentioned video and would have checked, there were a lot of Christians who addressed me and who told me that they think it is a sin. And you know what? I came to an agreement with nearly all of them. I had no problem accepting their point of view because they were like, well, my faith tells me it's a sin. But I treat them nicely. I'm not an asshole to them. I accept them as they are. It's not my job to judge them. And I was like, dude, for obvious reasons, I do not agree with your belief, but I can totally agree with your opinion and how you go through life. I had good conversations with those guys. One of them stated his point very civilized and very reasonable, and he even added that he was aware that he would probably get a lot of hate for this. And I replied, dude, when anybody gives you hate, they are in the wrong. Because you live your faith in a completely acceptable and reasonable fashion. So yeah, I am slandering you in this video, but not because you are a religious bigot. No, I am slandering you because you are a moron who goes out there on the internet with his ignorant, retarded opinion and comes up with bullshit arguments because you are afraid of using your actual arguments because you already experienced that people can debunk this right away.
Because once again, society made us the villain.
No. Society did not make you a villain. Stop taking the role of the victim while you are the one who is attacking other people for something they have no influence in. Half the time of the argument you said it was choice. The other time of the argument you were like, oh, there are certain external influences and we need to treat them. You are the villain, but not because society turned you into one, but because you are an ignorant asshole who is offending other people without any reason. Because religion is not an excuse to be hateful. On the contrary, Christian religion is about love to your neighbor and not about be an asshole to somebody who has a different lifestyle than you.
Why do you believe what you believe?
In one word, reason.
Is it that you've come to know on your own, or is it what someone told you to believe?
Well, actually my opinion is based on what many people told me, and then I used reason and came up with what I thought was right, considering all the different points of views I listened to. And where does your belief come from?
I believe homosexuality is wrong because, yes, that is what I was taught.
You are not making a very good argument for yourself right there.
But I have long since reaffirmed that belief within myself, for my own reasons on my own terms.
Within yourself, with your own reasons, on your own terms. Well, considering that you already acknowledge that you have been initially raised in a apparently very strict and incorrect Christian belief, your own reasons at your own terms are completely biased. And just reaffirming what you already believe within yourself without looking out there and talking to other people. How do you expect to evolve your opinion in any way? This is ideological incest what you are doing.
Now, if you will excuse me, I am done with this opinion versus opinion circus.
More like reason versus hot air circus.
I have already blocked your other account and I will block this one as well.
Very mature. This completely proves that your whole opinion stands on a solid ground where you have no problems whatsoever to stand for it.
I've spent 4 days mostly miserable because of this mess.
Well, if I would have this mess for a mindset, I would be miserable for far more than 4 days. You are getting off lucky, dude.
And I don't want to discuss this any further.
Well, no surprise there. If I would be in your position, I wouldn't want to discuss about my point of view either. But in the end, AG, I know you already stated that you wish you would have never met me, but I am actually rather thankful for the fact that I met you, because our argument led me on a path to become more outspoken and more provocative about issues like this. So, basically, I have to thank you. I mean, why? Opinion counts.